We're going to be talking about the week 5 assignment, the 6-word memoir assignment. As we've discussed, a memoir is a story about yourself that you remember, something happening to you in real life that you remember happening, which is why we call it a memoir. Looks kind of like memory. So this assignment is going to hit a couple of the standards that we haven't really done a whole lot with writing narratives, but we're having to use very precise words and phrases if we're going to be able to tell a story in 6 words, right? So the assignment as written, this is an assignment that challenges you to choose the most precise words that are descriptive enough to tell the reader or viewer something about you, something about an event that you've experienced. But you're going to have to really work on what 6 words can actually tell a story. So to do the pre-writing of this assignment, you're going to have to do some deep thinking. Think about something that has happened to you that in your memory, it does not need to be a very personal memory or experience, but something that you remember pretty clearly. Now, can you think of that thing how it could be a story? Has characters, right? You're a character in your own story. Does it have a beginning and an end? Does it suggest some sort of conflict that may have happened, the thing that happened to you? And can you maybe suggest some sort of resolution in the story that you're thinking of? Let me show you an example. So, this may not be a memoir, but I think it's a really good example of a 6-word story. So, let's take a look. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. Okay, this example is attributed to Hemingway. We're not really sure if he actually came up with it or not, but it's a really good an example of a 6-word story. Now, again, we're not really sure who wrote it, so we don't know if it's a memoir or not. But consider the questions I asked about your memory, your experience that you're writing about. Does this one tell a story? It kind of does, right? Does it suggest characters? Well, there must be characters because there's shoes. Does it suggest a resolution? Possibly a super sad one. It kind of depends on your interpretation of what's going on with the story, right? And it has all of those elements. So consider how they were able to do this. They were able to make a statement, use some punctuation, and the image really helps, I believe. So this is what I'm going to have you to do. You're going to free write some experiences, find one that sticks out as something that could be a story, even if you have to narrow it down to 6 words. Um, Consider how you can explain the story enough in 6 words, but it might not be the whole story, and that's okay. You need to either take a picture, draw one, find an image on the internet that you can use through Creative Commons. And you'll want to put that together with your story. A couple of examples. So, again, here are the standards we're covering. This is a reminder of the actual activity that we're doing. And here's a few examples of student 6-word memoirs that some of my other students have done previously. They allowed me to use these examples to show you. The first one was written by Mason. Broken home, son cries from joy. So it tells a story, it suggests characters, suggests conflict, definitely has a resolution there. This is an example Justin wrote. I'm very familiar with police lights. So he's definitely, there's a story there, suggesting characters, suggesting a conflict, absolutely. Perhaps it suggests a resolution. He was able to use a contraction to get his story into 6 words. So that's something to consider too. Perhaps a particular word or using a contraction, something like that, could help you get your story into 6 words. Let's look at a couple more examples. This is Janae. Did every day I lived in fear of tomorrow. She's got an extra word there, so that would be something that in revision you would want to fix. And perhaps, it would occur to some of you how you would be able to fix that situation to get it into 6 words. I still think that it's a pretty good example of a story that has characters, suggests conflict, and a resolution. And the image that she chose goes pretty well with it too, I believe. Emma drew hers, which is great. I love to see your guys' artwork. There was liberation at the top. It's a great sentiment. It tells a story, it suggests characters, and the image really kind of gives a different kind of bigger picture, maybe, that goes along with this story. Taylor wrote hers. Finally came home. It took years. Notice she made this into 2 separate 3-word sentences. It's another way that you can indicate the story. Very clearly has a setting, suggests characters, suggests some sort of conflict, right? The wording is important here. So these are just a few examples. I have more examples that I'll show you guys if you're interested. And hopefully this will help you feel pretty confident about writing your own 6-word memoir.